We're halfway through the week. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Jaein in Seoul. Coming up on today's edition of Business Daily. The government's key policies for next year have been outlined, including funds for small businesses to help them cope with increased labor costs while supporting low-income households through tax credits. Korea is planning to inject more than $100 billion into renewable energy until 2030 and raise the number of solar and wind power plants. These stories and more coming right up. With this year coming to an end, the Korean government has outlined its key economic policies for the new year. Some of those plans are setting up a multi-billion-dollar fund to help small businesses that are expected to suffer when the minimum wage is hiked in 2018. Our Yoo Jun-hee starts us off.
At an economic-related ministers' meeting on Wednesday, Finance Minister Kim Dong-yeon said that while Korea is set to post solid economic growth of 3% this year, it faces challenges, particularly in terms of job growth. With the minimum wage set to increase by 16% next year, marking the biggest annual jump in almost 2 decades, the Korean government plans to inject over $2.7 billion as job support subsidies starting next year. The Finance Ministry said it will directly fund small businesses employing fewer than 30 people to cope with a spike in labor costs. It's also looking into expanding earned income tax credit as an indirect way of supporting low-income households. As part of measures to create more jobs, the Health Ministry says it will support bio, medical, and cosmetics industries to come up with new products and export up to $21 billion in related goods by 2022. The ministers also touched on health insurance policies, promising to expand coverage that's backed by feasible financing measures. The finance minister added that the government will fine-tune details and unveil its economic policy roadmap for 2018 next week. It will include plans on 3 key areas: jobs, innovative growth, and tackling the low fertility rate. Yoo Jun-hee, Business Daily.
The government has also released plans to invest over $100 billion in renewable energy. It will expand Korea's solar and wind power infrastructure to reduce reliance on fossil fuels and nuclear power. Our Kim Ji-yeon has more.
At a meeting held Wednesday, the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy unveiled plans to increase renewable energy plants that utilize solar and wind power. The ministry says it'll inject more than $100 billion into renewable energy between now and 2030 and increase the number of renewable energy power plants to produce 48.7 gigawatts of electricity, equivalent to around 35 nuclear power plants. It aims to increase the proportion of electricity generated by renewable energy sources from last year's 7% to 20% by 2030.
Public awareness about safety and the need for renewable energy sources has increased after witnessing Japan's Fukushima nuclear disaster in 2011 and experiencing earthquakes in Gyeongju and Pohang in recent years.
The lion's share of the funding will be spent on increasing energy from solar power, and the ministry says it'll designate a separate renewable energy developmental district to install solar panels. The ministry says it'll also relax agriculture laws to allow the installation of solar panels along coastlines and reservoirs, as well as on the roofs of military facilities. And it will strengthen laws to expand zero-energy construction until it becomes mandatory for all buildings by 2030. It says it'll encourage the general public to utilize solar panels for household use by enabling the state-run Korea Electric Power Corporation to purchase their leftover electricity. The ministry says there will be minimal increases in electricity bills during the transition process. It expects electricity bills to increase by 1.3% in 2022, and it expects a near 11% increase by 2030. Kim Ji-yeon, Business Daily.
Let's now get a check on how the equity markets fared here in Seoul today. For that, we connect with our Eunice Kim, standing by on the line. So Eunice, how did the Kospi and the Kosdaq perform on this midweek?
Mostly modest moves on Korea's main bourses on this Wednesday, June, in line with much of its Asian peers, as Wall Street investors watching that revote at the House on the U.S. tax reform bill were net sellers overnight. The main Kospi index, after a day of treading water, ended down slightly, 0.25% at 2472.37. The tech-heavy Kosdaq continued the week's downward momentum, closing 1.42% weaker. On the currency counter, the Korean won tracked a third straight day of strength this week, ending at 1080.91 to the greenback. Now, retail and overseas investors were the net sellers on the main index today. Retail equity values were unable to recover from morning profit-taking amid reports by domestic media that visas for Chinese tour groups bound for Korea were once again blocked. Lotte Shopping ended the day 1.78% weaker, while Amore Pacific dove by 2.86%.
So we have just over a week left on the calendar for trades this year, and I hear that the Korea Exchange has made some scheduling announcements today.
Indeed, they did. For one, they pulled up the final trading day of 2017 to next Thursday. That's the 28th. Markets will be closed on Friday. This would apply to trades on the Kospi and the Kosdaq indices, of course, also the tertiary Konex, as well as securities and derivatives. The ex-dividend date will be the 27th, which means investors who purchase stocks by the 26th, that Tuesday, will be eligible to receive a dividend payment from listed companies for December. The first trading day of the new year, meanwhile, will be Tuesday, January 2nd, and the Korea Exchange has said it will temporarily open trading 1 hour later at 10 a.m., while keeping the market close time at 3:30 in the afternoon for now. This has been Eunice Kim for Business Daily.
A cryptocurrency exchange here in Korea has been forced to shut down after falling victim to a suspected cyber attack. Ubit says hackers stole 17% of its cryptocurrency in an attack that occurred in the early hours of Tuesday morning. The exchange did not reveal the monetary value of the stolen currency. Ubit apologized for the shutdown, saying it would allow its customers to withdraw up to 75% of their balance. The police said they will investigate any possible links to North Korea once the case is confirmed to be an actual attack. Ubit, formerly known as Yapijon, fell victim to a similar attack in April when hackers made off with more than $5 million worth of cryptocurrencies. The year 2017 has been an amazing year for those who had an early jump on cryptocurrencies, including many Koreans. And with Korea now the world's third largest market for virtual currencies, the Korean government is stepping in to prevent a bubble from being created. Our Kim Hae-sung reports.
Bitcoin has surged more than 15-fold in value since the start of the year. Trading the virtual currency has become so popular in South Korea that on any given day, the country accounts for more than 1/5 of the global Bitcoin trade and is the world's third largest market in trading the virtual currency. More than 1 million people in the country are believed to hold at least some Bitcoin, equivalent to 1 out of every 50 citizens. And concerns over a market bubble or a possible cyber attack from North Korea has prompted the South Korean government to announce a series of measures to regulate cryptocurrency transactions. The government said it'll ban minors, foreigners, and financial institutions from investing in cryptocurrencies and adopt a stricter identification process that'll allow only one account per person. It's also looking into taxing virtual currency transactions and profits.
There are many murky areas when it comes to virtual currency trading. There is no clear information on the issuer or holder, and it's not yet defined as a good or a currency. There have been several cases of hacking into Bitcoin exchanges in Japan, South Korea, and the US that have led to losses of hundreds of millions of dollars. But there is no one to take responsibility and no way for Bitcoin users to be compensated for any losses.
Created in 2009 by an unknown person or group using the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto, Bitcoin is traded anonymously on a decentralized network of computers. The virtual currency has seen its price surge this year, but according to AQR Capital Management, only 1,000 people hold 40% of the world's Bitcoin, meaning the market is vulnerable to a sudden crash. To catch up with cryptocurrency trading, regulators in the world are racing to come up with stricter laws.
China and South Korea made it illegal for companies to raise funds by issuing virtual tokens, and the EU agreed on December 15th to adopt stricter measures to identify users and prevent money laundering and fraud. But despite these governments' attempts to dampen investor interests, at least in South Korea, people are still paying a premium to invest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, hoping they will continue their dizzying rise. Kim Hae-sung, Business Daily.
The use of smartphone money remittance services here in Korea have seen an exponential rise in the third quarter. According to the Bank of Korea, a daily average of more than 1 million mobile transfers, amounting to roughly $44.1 million, were seen in the July to September period. This represents a more than six-fold jump compared to a year earlier and 21 times higher than the figure seen in the first quarter of 2016 when relevant data started being collected. Smartphone remittance services like Naver Pay and Kakao Pay allow users to transfer funds from a prepaid balance even through their social media accounts. President Moon Jaein says Korea is all set for the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics with around 50 days left to go. He also met with dozens of ordinary citizens on Tuesday while taking a ride on a new high-speed rail line to the city of Gangneung, where the games will also be held. Our Moon Jaein tells us more.
Lunch with billionaire investor Warren Buffett cost $2.7 million this year. Last year, $3.5 million. How about a lunch with one of the most popular sitting presidents in the world today? Under $200 for sure, in the form of a ticket to the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games, now less than 2 months away. The venue? The presidential bullet rail car, or South Korea's high-speed car number 1, covering the 277-kilometer distance between the Incheon International Airport to the eastern end of the Olympic cluster in less than 2 hours, revealed to the public for the very first time. 20 randomly selected citizens who enter the Hello Pyeongchang contest by posting creative photos as proof of ticket purchase were given the chance to lunch with the South Korean President Moon Jaein as he took his car number 1 for a maiden ride to the venue of the Pyeongchang Games.
아마 청와대로 초청돼서 아주 근사한 식사를 할 것으로 그렇게 기대했을 것 같은데 혹시 실망스럽지 않습니까? 오늘 이 자리가 더 뜻깊은 것 같아요. 이 열차가 공식 개통되기 전에 대통령과 함께 탑승한 1호 승객 굉장하지 않습니까?
This middle school teacher won a seat for this photo, writing the word Pyeongchang with 180 of his students each holding a ticket to an ice hockey event at the 2018 Games.
I'm sure it will be one of the most memorable events in life for myself and my students. My students and I will grow together to help the Republic of Korea stand tall.
The South Korean president did not forget to ask for public support.
교통 인프라도 올해 중으로 다 완비가 될 계획이거든요. 준비 사항은 전혀 문제가 없는데 역시 이제부터는 이제 홍보와 붐업이 중요하지 않습니까?
South Korea is bidding big on the success of the 2018 Winter Olympic Games, not only for the sporting event itself, but to use this opportunity to create a momentum for easing tensions in Northeast Asia. An Olympics for peace, they call it, by continuously encouraging North Korea to participate in what will be the first of 3 back-to-back Olympic events to be hosted in this part of the world.
하나된 열정.
Moon Jaein, Business Daily.
And the Korean public's confidence of hosting a successful Winter Olympics is higher than ever. This is according to a poll by the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism conducted on 1,000 people aged 15 to 79 on the upcoming games. 16.5% of respondents said the Olympics will be hosted very successfully, while nearly 54% said it will be successful. Less than 9% of those surveyed had concerns over Korea's hosting of the Olympics. At just over 70%, public confidence is at its highest level yet and has been steadily increasing over the previous 4 polls. In terms of athletic performance, 71% said Korea will be able to reach its goal of 4th place with 8 gold medals, 4 silver medals, and 8 bronze medals. The number of immigrants here in Korea topped 1.2 million people as of May this year. Of the total, 53,000 people had received permission to become naturalized citizens in the last 5 years, according to Statistics Korea. By country, Chinese nationals topped the list at 40%, with Vietnamese immigrants at 10.9%. Some 869,000 foreign residents had a secure job in the country, accounting for 64% of all foreigners. Nearly half earned a monthly wage roughly between $1,850 and $2,700. The National Assembly endorsed a bill to raise the tax on smokeless heated cigarettes, which is set to inevitably push up the retail price of these e-cigarettes. Our Lee Joo-young has the story.
Smoking in Korea may become more expensive come the new year. After the government jacked up the price of conventional cigarettes 2 years ago, a bill to raise the tax on smokeless heated tobacco has also passed the parliamentary plenary session in November. This amid lingering disputes over whether they should be treated differently from conventional cigarettes. The new tax rate after the proposed hike would represent 89% of taxes levied on regular tobacco, pushing the price of smokeless cigarettes to nearly $5. Until now, Korea had categorized e-cigarettes differently and taxed them at a lower rate at around 52% of regular cigarettes. While the hike in prices is said to be applied starting from the first day of next year, people looking to stock up and hoard e-cigarettes before the deadline will be difficult due to government restrictions. Korea has already raised roughly $115 million in taxes in the 7 months after introducing smokeless e-cigarette products like IQOS and Glow. Lee Joo-young, Business Daily.
Over in the United States, both the House of Representatives and the Senate have approved the most sweeping overhaul of the American tax system in more than 3 decades. It's a major legislative victory for U.S. President Donald Trump after a year of congressional stumbles and non-starters. However, the House will need to vote again on the final bill on Wednesday morning due to a procedural snag. The plan provides steep tax cuts for businesses and the wealthy and more modest tax cuts for middle and low-income families. Critics warn the plan will push America's debt even higher, but Republicans argue it will boost economic growth. Similar to a controversy that erupted in the U.S. back in 2013, the U.K. is caught in a heated debate on whether it should allow firms to drill shale rock for oil and gas exploration. Here's our Elliot Kim with more.
Shale fracking has been touted as the solution to Britain's dwindling gas reserves, but many experts are also warning of its potential dangers. Although it could lead to the discovery of new natural gas reserves, it also injects dangerous chemicals into the ground, which could be problematic for local drinking water in the future. UK geologists are also pointing out that the plans for large-scale fracking are misguided and fundamentally flawed. They point to important tectonic shifts that happened many years ago, which caused massive changes in the geology of the British Isles, making it unsuitable for drilling.
The shale gas fracking in the UK is challenged. It may work on a small scale in some of these compartments, but it won't be successful on the same industrial scale that is needed for the UK gas supply. It's fundamentally different in terms of the geology in the subsurface from those basins that work in the United States.
Although researchers note that fracking could work on a small scale, because the buried rocks have shifted towards the surface, they may have created pathways for gas to escape and pose a hazard. CO2 storage also remains another point of contention.
These are also potential leakage pathways. So whilst I'm an advocate for safe storage of CO2 in the subsurface, the geology is crucial, and there are good sites and poor sites.
Geoscientists say oil and gas companies should instead shift their attention to regions where CO2 has already been found. Britain currently sees carbon capture as a vital pathway towards meeting the legally binding 80% emissions cut from 1990 levels by the year 2050. Elliot Kim, Business Daily.
Disney movies and Japanese animes have been a timeless favorite for many children around the world. But there's a new player in town that's winning over young fans. Korean-made contents packed with songs and dances are adding another dimension to Hallyu, or the Korean wave. Our Park Hee-jun has more.
This is a 22-month-old girl watching her favorite character series. She loves to watch videos through her parents' tablet PC, and like many other children of her generation, she even handpicks what she's going to watch by scrolling through the playlist.
I selected the videos for her at first, but now she chooses her own and repeats them. The videos have clearly improved her concentration and expression.
The influence of Korean children's content isn't limited to the living room, but has spread across the country and even overseas. One of the most popular characters is Smart Studies' Pinkfong.
Videos featuring this character right here have been viewed over 1.5 billion times worldwide. Its name is Pinkfong, and it has been the most popular YouTube content in Korea this year, proving how popular it is among children and parents. With content available in 6 languages, Pinkfong's YouTube channel has more than 6.2 million subscribers. 40% of the channel's views are from the United States, but through viral marketing, its presence is spreading to other parts of the world, including Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, and even North Korea.
Our success is based on creativity and thorough planning. Efforts to create videos that can entertain both children and parents have allowed Pinkfong and Baby Shark to be loved by audiences of different age groups.
Korean firms satisfy both children and their parents by setting the right balance between entertainment and education. But creating content optimized for mobile-based platforms like YouTube and smartphone apps helped Korean content succeed in other parts of the world.
There are many restrictions for children's content when it comes to television, but YouTube is rather easy to access. Korean firms were smart to take advantage of such global platforms when the market for mobile consumption was expanding rapidly worldwide.
Children's content has a relatively low language barrier, but when asked what the most difficult task was when reaching overseas audiences, firms said it was localizing their content.
We work with people who really understand the country's culture. Sometimes we miss certain details, but we reflect our online feedback that we receive through our digital channel as fast as we can.
One good example is Carrysoft, a global company based in Korea that provides entertainment for kids and family, best known for its Carry and Toy series that reviews toys. Its customization strategy has led Carrysoft's content to succeed in Asia and even in China, where other industries suffered great losses due to Beijing's economic retaliations over that.
We made sure not to label our contents as Korean or Hallyu. We created our content so that anyone in China would enjoy it, and localized it so that it's welcomed by the Chinese audience.
At present, Korean children's content is gaining fans across the globe, and experts say that the future appears to be bright if companies get the right support.
Although the birth rate is dropping with the growing trend of working couples and the younger generation's familiarity toward mobile devices, there is immense potential for the growth of children's content for both entertainment and education.
The government needs to help businesses strengthen their global potential. They need to connect them with competent global partners and provide information on local laws while increasing local support.
Children's content is now an essential necessity for families with young kids. Children these days are prolific users of the internet and mobile devices, leaving endless possibilities for businesses targeting the online world. As long as the content is innovative and reflective of the audience's needs, the prospects look good for Korean companies that aim to reach out to children around the globe.
박희준, Business Daily.
And that wraps it up for today. But we'll be back tomorrow with more of the day's top business stories, so don't forget to tune in then. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.